Hello, and welcome to Artbeat. I'm so excited to launch our first episode. Today, I have the honor to speak with Chera about her art business, Chera Creative. I met Chera at a local Dallas art show that we were both a part of in 2017, and I'm excited to hear about what she's been up to since she took the leap from a 9-to-5 corporate career to painting murals full-time. If you're in the Dallas area, you can see Chera's beautiful floral-focused work in public places like the shops at Park Lane, Fedora Knox District, or the Omni PGA Frisco Resort. Let's dive in. Thank you so much for joining today.
Of course. I'm excited to be here. This is so fun.
I guess for anyone who is listening, who are you?
Well, my name is Chera. My maiden name is Chera Cheney, but now I'm Chera Brooker. I just got married, I guess, 2 years now. So getting used to the last name, but I created my business called Chera Creative, and it was a side hustle for 5.5 years, and I took it full time 2 years ago. And that consists of mural painting and all the things that we'll dive into today. But yeah, that's the big kind of
very exciting. Yes, very overview. So just to kind of backtrack for our history, which is kind of crazy that we have history. We've been acquainted now for several years, meeting at an art show that we were both at in 2017. So you said that you did this as a side hustle. And I assume during that time, that's what was going on.
Right out of college, I don't know if you experienced the same thing, but you can go a lot of different avenues with art. And so I graduated May of 2016. So 2017 till really 2020, when I found murals, I was kind of just trying everything under the sun when it came to art, and doing art shows was one of those. I had some paintings under my belt from college and post-college and just did those shows, and they were super fun. And I got to meet great people like you, and I still have connections from those art shows. So it was a good opportunity.
That's great. Yeah. I mean, at the time I had moved back to Dallas from school as well. So similar timeline, I think, for both of us, but coming back and doing those shows, I wasn't as consistent as I probably should have been. So yeah, looking back, it's definitely a lot. I can't imagine like traveling and doing that. Definitely loved all of the connections that I've made. And you're right. I mean, I still follow people. And I was like looking through my social media recently and thinking, where do I know this person from? And a lot of them are from that show that we actually did. So it's a great connector point too for people finding a community like where you're at. I want to talk a little bit about what you do. So you said that you've transitioned to murals full time now?
Yes. Yeah, I'm full-time murals, even though I still do some canvas artwork, but it's more so in my free time. All of my clients and projects right now are mural based. I kind of switched over and dove in like fully into murals because I just enjoy it so much, and there's a huge demand for it. So once you say you're a mural artist, people are like, oh my word, I need a mural. So it's been really fun. I love it.
Yeah. And I love seeing the work that you do, specifically transitioning from something like canvas to murals, like in large spaces. It looks very nice.
Thank you. It's been really fun to kind of find my style and lean into what I truly love painting, which is predominantly florals, botanicals, flora and fauna, just nature inspired murals. I feel like I had that in my canvas work, but I just got kind of a consistent request for that. And now I just love it so much. So it's been finding my style and just doing really bright, colorful murals that brighten people's day.
So it sounds like one of the first times that you did a mural was a request.
Actually, I reached out to her because I had just visited Nashville, Tennessee with my sister. We did a little trip out there, and they have huge mural scene. And so I saw those murals, and it never occurred to me that someone painted those, and that's like an avenue of art. And when I was there, I told my sister, I kind of want to try painting a mural. And we had a friend who was opening a restaurant in Dallas in Bishop Arts. And so I texted her and I was like, by any chance, do you need a mural for your new restaurant? And she said yes and trusted me enough to paint it. And so that was my first mural. Well, I guess, okay, technically that was my first mural professionally, like post college, but I actually did do one mural in college for my hometown that was small, but which was really fun. So I guess that was technically my first mural, but the one for Korea was post college, first professional mural that launched my mural career.
That's awesome. So
Mm.
after that one, were you hooked? Like, did you know that that's what you were going to do?
It kind of took probably 2020 because I painted that one like March 2020. And so, like, there were a few months in there where I was like, what is happening, obviously, with the pandemic and
Right.
everything. But probably by the end of 2020, I had painted 3 murals at that point, and I was like, oh, you can actually make a career out of this. Like, I kind of saw the vision, and that's when I went all in. So I went from painting 3 murals in 2020 to like 15 or 20 murals in 2021. So I kind of, it
Wow.
picked up steam for sure. Once I went all in and really dedicated my time to it and realized this is what I wanted to do, it took off.
So you've been doing it for a while now. Is it
Yeah.
turning out to be what you expected it to be?
Probably more, actually, in the best way. Because when I first started out, I did it truly because it just brought me so much joy. I love being outdoors and nature. And I realized for outdoor murals, I get to paint all day, be outside, and just like, that's my job. And I really loved that side of it. But now, as my business is growing, I'm getting to work with some really great clients. Some great opportunities are coming up. And I'm just like, wow, all of this is because of painting murals. Like, it's just pretty amazing how life happened that way. And I'm just looking back like, how is this happening? This is so cool and so fun that this is my job.
Yeah, definitely beats sitting at a desk.
Yes, definitely. And that's what I did for 5.5 years. I worked at Mary Kay corporate as an art director because I got my degree in graphic design. So that was just the natural next step, which I absolutely loved. I love everyone at Mary Kay. My job was so much fun. But there at the end, I just couldn't keep balancing both and knew it was time to make the jump. So,
The best of both worlds. Yeah.
mhm.
So at that time, so you're working in corporate and you're doing a side hustle, which was not murals at the time. It
Right.
looked more like doing shows, maybe
Canvas
painting
work.
commissions, canvas.
Mhm.
So at what point did you decide, okay, I got to go full time with this, or
Mhm.
I can't balance both? And did
It
you
was,
feel confident to make that jump?
I did. It was December of 2021. So at that point, I had almost been painting murals for 2 full years as a side hustle. And I remember it vividly because it was the last meeting I had with my boss before Christmas break in 2021. And I think she knew also that I was just, it had come to a point where I truly could not do the best job at both. I'm just the type of person that if I'm going to do the job, I want to do it 100% my best ability. And I was to a point where I couldn't. And that was just like overwhelming. And so I took Christmas break. I talked to my family and my now husband, fiance at the time. And I always knew I wanted to go full time, but this was probably a little bit earlier than I had planned. And so talked to everybody, decided it was the right time. I just can't even express to you like the heaviness and feeling on my heart that I knew it was time.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask, like, how did you know? And it was just like an undeniable feeling. It was now or never. I was doing it. And so after Christmas break, I told my boss, and she was just so sweet and saw the writing on the wall. Like, she had followed my art career and was just so encouraging. Everyone at Mary Kay was like so supportive and excited for me to take it full time. And yeah, I felt confident. It was a kind of a crazy season because I left. My last day was March 1st. which is coming up. And then I got married in April. And so it was just like all the craziness at once. But then after the wedding, when I hit the ground running full time, it was just nonstop and so fun. Have not looked back. It's been a great journey.
That's amazing. It's great to have like a community around you that's supportive, even if it's like your 9 to 5 job. It
Definitely.
sounds like everyone like followed you. You made your side hustle known.
Yeah.
So that's really awesome.
And I know that's not the case for everybody. Some bosses and careers, they frown upon side hustles because it may take away energy or from their full-time job or whatever. But I was always open with my bosses, and because it started so small. Like when I first started at Mary Kay, I had like 1,000 followers. It was just like me painting in my bedroom, selling some prints here and there. And then it just kind of grew naturally every year. So it was just natural. But I'm thankful they were supportive, and I never felt bad about leaving because I loved them. I loved the job. It was just my dream to go full time with it.
So it sounds like you had a natural growth and you were on social media. Is social media what primarily contributed to your growth, or were there other things that you were doing?
Definitely social media.
Yeah.
Like I tell everyone that a love-hate relationship. Obviously, like a lot of people, it's hard to be creative and create content around it. It's not ideal as an artist, but I feel like once I leaned into that and saw kind of how it could change my business, I just went all in on social media. And that's truly what grew my business, got me more customers and clients, and it just naturally grew.
Well, you seem pretty good at it. I mean, your overall brand online, like your website and your branding on social media is very beautiful, very
Thank
you,
you.
and it reflects your work. And did you just know what that was going to be like from the beginning? Did it take a while to get to that point?
It's kind of naturally formed into what it is today. I truly think it's just a reflection of everything I love. I love bright colors. I love pink. I love flowers and botanicals. And I just kind of accepted projects and painted things that I loved. And then people would see that and hire me to do the same thing. And so whenever I started getting consistent projects style wise, it just kind of formed into that. But I also will say on the branding side, it helped that I majored in graphic design because I learned, what it takes to make a logo and a good color palette and how a brand should look across all platforms of your website and social media. So I do have that background, which helps. And I can use my design programs to kind of put things together and make sure it all looks cohesive before posting or updating my website. And that helps kind of come together naturally, thankfully. But it's still like every day I would say like at the beginning of every year, I evaluate my brand and kind of see like where I want to go, if it's consistent and I'm liking it, or where I want to push it to and further. You kind of have to be strategic in that way, especially as an artist, because you're going to get a bunch of requests for projects and it's their ideas. And if you follow just one project after the next without being kind of particular and honing in on your brand, it's just going to look all over the place. So it's just a little bit about being picky on projects and designing it in a way that's in line with how you want to represent yourself.
That's great advice. So there's lots of things that go into like managing a business. So you spend your time actually making the art, planning the project. Where else do you think you spend a lot of your time?
Oh, goodness. I would say admin. That's part of the job that you really don't see. And it's not the fun part to post on social media. And anytime like my social media is quiet, it's because I'm like sending emails, building proposals, pricing proposals, sending contracts, and the design, like it's just so much admin work to get a project to the painting installation stage. that's one. I've been looking, I mean, hopefully in the future, I'll hire an admin assistant to do that so I can focus more on painting. But right now it's manageable. In the busy seasons, it's not as manageable, but I'm making do right now.
Yeah. So it sounds like it could be time soon.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yes. Yeah. It was probably time about 6 months ago, but then January, February is usually pretty slow. December, like with the holidays and it's cold. So it's been fine. But as of like this week, I'm hitting a point where I'm I'm addressing it again. Like, okay, it might be time to hire someone, at least on contract, to help me with some of that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So
That's a good sign. That's a
that would
good
be,
sign. Things are going well.
yeah, definitely going well. But that is the funny thing about being an artist, that painting is probably 25 to 30% of the job. And a lot of it is just admin, getting the projects together, designing it, taxes, you know,
Yeah.
all that and stuff.
Yeah. I guess going back to like creating art versus creating content, do you feel a struggle there? Like with focusing on, oh, how's this going to look on social media or should I video this?
It depends on the project. Sometimes I'll have an idea before I paint it where it makes the content really easy because I go in with a plan. I already know what I'm going to film, how I need to capture it, and it's fun and easy. Sometimes I don't have inspiration, and so I just video the process and the full project and then try and put something together after the fact. That's when it gets a little harder because I have all this content and I'm like, how am I going to make this interesting and engaging? But I will say, I tell my husband all the time, I think if I didn't have to do the content side of projects, I would probably save the day of painting on my projects because it's just like, you can't just show up and paint. You have to think, okay, I need to get before videos. I need to get before pictures. Okay, I need to set up this time lapse. Oh, I'll move it over here. And like you're just constantly like moving your tripod from place to place to capture the whole project. And it's just time consuming. So
Yeah.
that's one element that, yeah, it's a love hate, like I said. But it's like one, for example, one mural I had finished and I was so tired and I was so ready to go home. And I was like, oh my goodness, like I didn't get my snap transition, like the second half of it. I did like, when snapping was the thing. So I went back and I was like, okay, I'm just going to capture these real quick. And I posted it and it got like 5 million views. And that's what like brought me half of my followers that I have today is like that one video. I was so tired. I didn't want to capture it. I was like, I have to do the transition.
Yeah.
And so looking back, it's like, it took extra time and energy to do that, but it was worth it.
Wow. 5 million. Wow.
I know. Crazy.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Do you feel like consistency in posting has really grown your social media audience? Are you also on TikTok?
I just started TikTok probably like 6 months ago. I'm starting to be a little more consistent, but I would say Instagram is where I feel most comfortable and most consistent. And definitely consistency helps. But I'm not like the type where it's like, oh, you have to post 3 times a week. You have to show up every day in your stories. Some days I'm not feeling creative and I don't force it. Whenever I do post, it's actually quality content that I want to put out there. And that's more meaningful. And I think better for my brand because I don't want to be like, oh, I have to hit that 3 post mark this week. I'm just going to throw this out there. And it doesn't really help me. It's not engaging content. So I'm not very regimented, but at least I'm just showing up consistently on like my projects that I do want to share.
So do you have like a general outline? Maybe you don't stick to it like to
honestly, no, like not an outline at all. I should, but I'm just such the person that I don't force my creativity. Whenever I feel it, I'll post a lot. At least once a week, I post. I try not to go more than a week without posting an actual post or reel. But then in my busy season, when I have murals, like it's so natural to post. Like I'm posting almost every day during my busy season because I have so much content to share, which is really fun. That's when it's like not hard to share because it's like, oh, I have all this stuff I'm creating and I'm going from one project to the next. And it's just like sometimes I don't have enough days to post everything I want to post. So it's really just in my off season that I have to really think through new content that's maybe not project related, but more just like behind the scenes related.
Have you ever considered having someone help with social media?
I've thought of it a few times, more so on the marketing side, because the marketing brain is a whole nother world that I don't have. And there are some times where I'm like, I bet this project could be marketed in a really cool way, but I just don't have the brain for it. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'll get like a wave of inspiration and do something really cool. But yeah, it's not really to a point where I need someone. And I like having that connection with my followers and it feeling like my voice and my posts and having control of that. So I don't know if I ever will, but yeah,
Maybe someday.
maybe someday. Yeah.
Then you have to let it go and trust someone else to continue your brand.
It's so true. That's a really good point. Especially if they like know kind of what I would post and maybe it'll get to a point where I have to outsource that. But right now I'm doing fine, just enjoying posting as I have new projects. But delegation isn't my strong suit. That's something I'm learning, especially when it comes to painting and painting assistants. I'm starting to use new painting assistants and almost train new people. So as my business grows and we have more and bigger projects, I kind of have a team that can help me paint, me and my dad. My dad's
Yeah.
still there, still going strong.
Yeah. How fun. I would love to be a painting assistant one day.
Oh, nice. You're hired.
A
Come on
fly
out.
on the wall, if you will.
Yeah, it's a whole new world. Like the mural world, there's so much that I want to like share on social media, but it's like when you're in the thick of figuring things out and problem solving and all the supplies, it's I'm just not going to whip out my phone and film it. So being on site is even more probably interesting than what's on Instagram. So
You make it look very fun on
thank
Instagram.
you.
That's for sure.
That's good. That's the goal. And it is overall so fun. Like, I would not trade this job for anything. It is the best. But of course, with any job, to get to the fun part, there's a lot of work, a lot of like hauling equipment and supplies and washing brushes and all the not so fun things.
You mentioned that every year you'll sit down and evaluate your brand, your business. Have you done that recently?
Yeah, just in like early January.
So, did you have any revelations of like what's next? What's new? Like, what are you going to change?
So I think the biggest revelation I had is that sometimes I get ahead of myself and I have so many ideas of what Chera Creative could be and can be that I almost feel overwhelmed with ideas. And I'm like, but where do I start? Like, what do I do first? And it kind of just dawned on me that I think the growth of my business will happen naturally as it has, and that I really just need to focus on continuing being creative, producing artwork, murals, canvas work, just being creative and posting it in fun and engaging ways. And I think that growth will naturally grow or naturally happen. So that was kind of the biggest revelation because I can get overwhelmed on what I want to do with the business. And I was just realized, okay, it'll all happen. Just keep being creative.
Yeah. Keep being creative and I guess be realistic, right?
Yeah,
Like, don't give
exactly.
yourself too much.
Right. Because if you have too many things going at once and you're trying to split up all your energy into all those different things, nothing's going to get done because you're like taking baby steps on each thing as opposed to just consolidating your goals and going towards those few goals a lot
Yeah.
further.
Do you have any like tips, tricks, or tools to like help make things easier? Like a lot of people use like video editing for social media. A lot of people use like business plan templates from
Mhm.
online.
Oh man, my brain just went a million different directions. So many. But I would say on the business side of things, my favorite tool that I have right now is HoneyBook. It's a platform that consolidates all of my projects into one platform. And that's a huge help because I have templates created with all of my contracts, design proposals, pricing proposals, questionnaires, all of that. I have email templates. And so that just helps, especially if you're a one man show and you don't have an admin assistant, kind of having those shortcuts already set up helps a lot. So that's what I would say on the business side of things. The Instagram video editor has gotten a lot better. I will say I used to use, and I still use an app called CapCut. And I really love the way that it edits videos, but I think Instagram has kind of copied a lot of their features and it's gotten a lot better.
They had
Um,
to, right?
yeah, they had to. I Everyone was going out of Instagram to edit videos and then upload them. They're keeping it updated, which is good. But those are my two like business tools, and then mural tools I have a ton. I'm actually working on a mural supply list. It's like 20 pages of all of the supplies and products that I use. And so that will be out eventually. And that'll
Yeah.
go sale.
Yeah, that takes me to one of my questions was not only do you do art and murals, you also are providing like educational tools on your website, right?
Oh man, this has been such a fun part of mural painting because I get so many artists and mural artists reach out and they have all these questions about mural painting because it's relatively not new, but it's definitely gaining popularity because everyone wants to have a mural and be relevant and social worthy. And so all these artists reach out, and I just kind of thought like, I need to put together these resources so that it just puts all of my thoughts and information and background and experience into one resource that these artists can use. And so I have a few on my website, a mural pricing guide that's free right now, and then an intro to install guide, which is basically walks you through client communication from introduction to the installation of the mural, just one thing after next with email templates and everything they need. But yeah, I'm continuing working on the mural supply list. And then I'm actually working on a bigger education resource for artists that should be out, I'm hoping this summer. So yeah, just continuing doing that is so much
Okay.
fun.
Yeah, something to look forward to.
Exactly. A little hint there, a little
Yeah.
teaser.
Yeah, a little teaser. So
Mhm.
for those listening.
Yes.
Very cool. Awesome. So I guess with everything that you've experienced now, like you're getting, I mean, you've been in the groove of it for a while. What
Mhm.
kind of advice would you give to artists? It sounds like you give advice a lot, but what would you tell someone starting out? Maybe they're working full time and they're thinking
Mhm.
of going full time into art like you did. What would
Mhm.
you tell them?
I think I would tell them to just continue being creative, kind of like I'm telling myself that if you want to eventually be a full time artist, the best thing you can do is just continuing to create and post it on social media. Social media is honestly the best tool we have at our age. And in this time that past generations didn't have. Artists definitely had to grow through word of mouth, and which still happens. Like, I still get recommended through friends and family, which is wonderful, but your brand can grow overnight if you want it to. Like, if you are creative and you post it in creative and engaging ways consistently, it's going to be the best thing for you. And it's kind of scary at first because it's vulnerable to put your artwork out there to strangers, but you kind of just have to post it and just send it, basically. Like, send it and just don't care, because doing that will truly grow your brand without you even realizing. Just have fun, stay in the process. Don't look at your views or your like count because it can get discouraging. Just do it because you love it.
That's great advice. Is there anything that you wish someone had told you when you were making that leap?
Not really. Not that I can think of. I feel like the timing that I did it was pretty safe. So yeah, honestly, I can't think of anything. Maybe just talk me through the business side of having an art business, because I'm thankful ignorance was bliss at the time, because I don't know if I would have made the jump knowing all of the business side. But I feel like, just in terms of like taxes and business insurance and all of those things, there was a lot I didn't know when I took the jump. And I kind of had to figure it out within the first 6 months of going full time, because I want to do everything by the book, obviously. And so I did a lot of learning those 6 months. And that's probably another resource I want to put out there eventually, is like the business side of being a full-time artist. Like taxes and insurance and the not so fun stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Recently, I went to a workshop hosted by Art House Dallas. I don't know if you're familiar.
Yeah. Yes.
So I went to a workshop of theirs, and the ticket was very reasonable, but it was an all-day workshop for the art of business. They talked about in depth a lot of these things that it sounds like you figured out on your own, right?
Wow, that was so nice.
Yeah. But I mean, even going and being there, like, it was information overload. And even then, like, I walked away with all of this like knowledge, but I'm still trying to figure out, like, where do you start, right? Like,
yes.
You can't do it all at once.
Exactly. You're speaking my language. I think one thing I always tell artists too is just, if you have a side hustle, but you have a goal in mind, as long as you're making one step every day in the direction of that goal, you'll get there eventually. That's what I did. Like, after I worked at Mary Kay at nights, I'd be like, okay, as long as I do one thing each day, whether it's update my website or send out a few emails, outreach emails, or redesign my logo. It's just like those little things will add up and accumulate, or post one reel on social media. They'll add up and compound until you look back and you're like, oh, wow, I have an actual business I can go full time in now.
And then they'll get that feeling that you had.
And then they'll get the feeling. I'm telling you, like, I look back on that day so vividly. Like, it was the heaviest feeling in my chest, where I was just like, I have to go. It's now. Like, I'm
now is the time.
So,
yeah. Wow. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for joining me today. It's been such a fun conversation, and we definitely need to catch up again, like, a lot sooner.
Yes, definitely. Maybe not how many years? 7
Let's not
years.
Talk about it.
Like, wait, what?
Yeah. We'll get coffee sometime. It'll be great. But I guess for our listeners, where can everyone find you?
So my business is Chera Creative. So that's my Instagram handle. My website is cheracreative.com, and it's Chera, Chera. Pretty much Chera Creative everywhere.
Yeah. In all places.
In all the places. It's a unique name, which gets me Instagram handles pretty easily, thankfully.
That's good. Yeah. That's a good name. I love it.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Well,
Thanks for
thank
having me.
you.
So
Yeah,
fun.
great conversation. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
Thank you all for listening to today's episode. I had so much fun talking with Chera, and I hope you had fun listening too. There's so many other questions I could have asked her, but if you get a chance, please visit her website. She's done a fantastic job of showcasing her work and continues to share more resources for artists. Please follow Art Beat Podcast on Spotify to get notified for future episodes. You can also follow us on Instagram at ArtBeatPod. Let us know what kind of topics you're curious about regarding art and creativity today. I look forward to having more conversations with you soon. Thank you so much for listening. If you like the show, please give it a rating and share any feedback in the Q&A after the episode. As a newer podcast, I appreciate any thoughts you're able to share. Don't forget to follow the show so you get notified of our next episode.